Today we're going to talk about game design logic. So a computer program does what you tell it to do, not what you want it to do. That's one of those things. It's like, that's not what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to do, XYZ. And it's like, well, you didn't tell it to do that. It does exactly what you tell it to do. And that's why it's really important to understand what you are telling it to do and plan out what you're going to tell it to do. I will tell you that even me, right, I usually just want to jump right in and plan it, and before I plan it, just go for it, start configuring, start compiling and everything. That's not necessarily always the best plan. Usually you should actually have a plan of what you're going to be doing. And so basically it's breaking everything down into the tiny little steps that you're going to need to accomplish whatever thing that you're trying to do. And what this means is basically you don't just break it down to like, I want to, have the guy run across the screen and touch a flag and have it win, right? That seems like that's the three things you'd break it down to is run across the screen, find the flag, touch the flag, pop up, you win. That was what we did last week. To document the steps, we call it a flowchart. Is one of the many ways. There's multiple ways to do this. What I'm going to suggest you guys use is a flowchart. It's a very visual representation of what you're doing, and it just helps you plan and move things around and figure out what is happening in the code. So these are the symbols that are most likely used. And what I really like about PowerPoint is that it has all these symbols. It has more of the flowchart symbols, but these are the main ones that I've used. And so I'm just going to go over each shape. So this top one is what's called the Terminator. It's a pill shape, right? Or an ellipse. Basically, it is the start and ending of the program. It just tells the user when you look at the screen, or look at the flowchart, this is where it begins and this is where it ends. A circle is used as a connector. So say you need to go across multiple pages, you would add a circle and you'd label it either like A on both sides or 1 on both sides, depending on how you wanted to do it. And so that you knew A connects to A. So it's like it's one big long flowchart, but you might need it over multiple pages. And it's a circle shape. So then we have the process shape. This is probably the most used, which is just a plain rectangle. And it's used just to execute a series of instructions that are executed by the program. And then we have the input-output, which is a parallelogram. And so just write the rectangle turned on its side, or just kind of slanted. And it's the input and output. And anytime you're going to need an input from the user, like they're going to need to move the character across the screen, so that's going to require an input, right? You're going to output to the screen, you win. That's output, so you're going to use the rectangle or the parallelogram for that. And then the diamond. This is another very common one that we use, and it's a diamond shaped for decision making, or diamond and decision. And what's good about this, right, is usually what flows down is whatever's going to continue on in the program, or like the forward direction, whatever the forward direction is. And then if it's that'll usually be like what gets you out of the decision making. And then if there's a no, or you're going to go back and redo something, you're going to have that come out of one of the sides that goes back and does something else. So usually it's like a true false, right? Which is Boolean. So if it's true, you're going to continue on. If it's false, you're going to get out, right? And then the last one is arrow, and that just is a way to have the flow of how the data goes. So when I'm going to go make a flowchart, I like to just copy these symbols and I'm going to just right click and copy. And then we're going to go to our slide where we're going to make this, and I'm going to paste them. All right, so now I have all my symbols that I'm going to need. And this is project 1, so this is what I'm going to demo how you'd make a flowchart for that. And so when we collide with the flag, we notify the player the end of the game. That was what we did as the first one. So the first step is the start of it, right? That's the beginning. And then we're also going to need the end. So I'm going to duplicate that and also have that down here at the end. That's our goal. That's where we're headed. And we're going to need some of these arrows. So I'm just going to make a couple arrows. And what I like about PowerPoint is that you can make them connect and you could play with them and move them around, and it's pretty easy. There are actual flowchart programs out there, but I find it's like if I have this on my computer and I can do it, it makes it pretty easy. So now we have this. I'm probably not going to need any circles because I'm probably going to get it all situated on the screen, but just in case, we'll leave that to the side. I do need a, the rectangle is used for like just running the game or doing a process. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have that be in here. And this is basically just the game running, right? And so I'm going to double click it and it'll let me type in it, and like game begins running. And now, so the game is running. Now we're going to need another arrow to show the flow of the code. And we're now going to have input, right? Like the player could just be sitting there idling for as long as we want until we get actual input from the user. So we're going to have that where the user moves the player, right? Character moved by player. And I definitely need to make that bigger, so that we could read it. And so that's why we used the parallelogram, right, when we're moving the player. And I'm going to need another one of these, so I'm just going to copy it and put it over here. I always forget to copy. But we got that. And now, right, the character's moving around the screen, looking around the game, looking for the flag. So now we need, if they find the flag, we need to process finding the flag. So that's going to take a decision. Did you find the flag? And so if they found the flag, right? Found flag. So I probably don't need it to be that big. And we're going to need arrows for that, right? We need to connect our data. So, right, and I should put start and end in here. I like making it legible. So, right, so they found the flag. So there's two answers to found the flag, right? It's either true or false, yes or no. So we're going to need to have two sets of arrows coming out of it. So one is no, it did not find the flag. So if it did not find the flag, then we need the character to move again, right? So I'm just going to connect these two, maybe. And I could label this I don't think it'll let me label. So I'm going to go up to insert, and there should be a text box under insert. So I'm just going to come and put that here and write no, and then have that over this label just so we know what happens, right? No, you could also write false, right? The found flag was, they didn't find the flag, so then you need more movement by the character. And if they did find the flag, right, then you need to output to the user, right? So I'm going to put this down here, and we're going to say we're going to output you win. And we need arrows just to show if that happened, right? And we could copy this text box and put it yes there. And that could be the end of it, but I don't know if I showed you guys this in there. I'm going to move this over here. Is that we could have also paused game. Or ended game. And we'll just add the arrows there. And then we need one last arrow to go to end. So I don't need any more decisions, and I don't need any more of that. So now when we got this little bit of when we collide with the flag, notify the player the end of the game. So start, we begin the game, the character is moved by the player. Did they find the flag? No. Then you keep getting movement from the player. So this is kind of a loop that you get into. And if they did find the flag, then you want to come out and say, hey, you win, and notify them. You might want to pause the game, and then you end. So that's project 1. And what we're going to do for project 2 is we're going to do this similar thing, right? Where we're going to have a flag out there. We're going to, the game begins to run. We're going to get movement from the player. We're going to ask if they found the flag, but we're also going to see, did you find a collectible? And if it found the collectible, it's going to do a certain amount of stuff, right? It's going to make a couple decisions. Is it the collectible? Yes. Then we want to remove the collectible from the screen. Then we're going to want to have a variable that we're going to increment. So we're going to make a collectible or collected equal collected plus 1. And then we're going to want to have it go back into the loop of getting character movement. And then it's going to go back and do the same thing over again until it has all 5 things collected. And then once it does, then you're going to output to this thing, pause the game, and end. So I hope this helps explain what a flowchart looks like and help you figure out how to do a flowchart. And I will see you in the next video.